All right, hey there again, my fellow coder. Welcome back to this next installment in our Java career advice series that I'm putting on. Today we're going to be talking specifically about resumes and resume writing. This is the critical step that you need before you can actually land that coveted entry-level programmer interview, and we'll talk about one of those later. So today I want to focus on resumes, obviously, resume writing. So first tip. This is something that, so let me shed some background on sort of the qualifications that I may or may not have, depending on how you see fit. The qualifications that I may or may not have regarding interviewing candidates. So I used to interview in my old company that I worked for. I was in a management type position, and we interviewed essentially one new developer every single day, sometimes two, but mostly one every single day. I think on average you can say one a day for every single working day of my career for years and years. Well, I shouldn't say, let's say 2 years. So that's a lot of people that I saw. It's a lot of resumes that landed on my desk that I had to review, a lot of resumes that I had to look over before I actually walked into the interview. I was not responsible for reviewing them in terms of choosing people based on the resume, but I did see a lot of resumes come across my desk. So let me say this. And this is something I hope you take to heart, whether or not you're an entry level or whether or not you are a senior level person. Make your resume one page, please. I know it's hard, especially for someone who is senior level. My resume is one page. I might even throw my resume up online so you guys can download it. Maybe at coderscampus.com/resume, you can go and download a copy of my resume there. But make it one page, people, please. I have over 10 years of experience and mine is still one page. Any more than that, it's too long, okay? So my first tip is please, please, please keep your resume to one page. Now, this is important because people scan your resume. Everyone will scan your resume, from the hiring manager to the recruiter to the only person who won't scan your resume is someone that you're hiring or whose job it is to make sure that your resume is good. Okay, they're not going to scan your resume. They're going to look at it with a fine-tooth comb, that kind of thing. Everyone else is just going to scan it. So you need to make your resume scanning friendly. All right. One other tip that hopefully everyone knows this, make sure it's in chronological order. So if you do have work history, make it in chronological order. If you have projects that you want to throw on there to make up for the fact that you may not have work experience, throw the projects on there in chronological order. If you want to highlight courses or education or whatever the case may be, put it in chronological order, where the most recent is at the top and the least recent, so the furthest away, is at the bottom, okay? Now, on your resume, I would also include relevant links to any sort of online profiles that you might have. These could include LinkedIn, Stack Overflow, GitHub, especially GitHub or Bitbucket or whatever coding repository you might be using. Make sure that link is on your resume, because that will allow whomever to go and actually browse through everything you have in your GitHub profile. Also, as an adjacent, make sure that everything you have in your GitHub profile is public. Okay, unless it truly is private and you don't want anyone else to ever see it for whatever reason, security purposes or maybe confidentiality, whatever the case may be, fine. Obviously, don't make those things private. But everything that you'd want someone reviewing your resume, anyone that you would want considering you to hire you as an employee, make sure all that stuff is public, okay? And include those links on your resume. LinkedIn and GitHub at the very least. If you have a Stack Overflow profile, that's good. If you've done a fair bit of community work in there and you've answered questions and asked questions and interacted there and you have a good score, whatever a good score may be. Mine's not that great. I think mine's only in the hundreds, the low hundreds. So if you're going to put your Stack Overflow profile in there, just make sure it's good, right? Make sure that whatever it is that you're putting in there, if someone went and actually took the time to check it out, you'd be proud to display it. Okay, that's really the simple common sense rule of thumb here is to do that. But please, please, please at least include your GitHub profile and make sure you have projects in the GitHub. Do not put a GitHub profile if it's going to be empty. And if you have an empty GitHub profile or equivalent, like Bitbucket, etc., then maybe you shouldn't be applying to jobs just yet. Let's get some projects under your belt. You can refer back to, was it the first lesson in the series? Yeah, I talked about tips on how to sort of get an interview and sort of yeah, my tips in general. And one of those was projects, projects, projects. If you do not have real world experience, make sure that you build your own projects from scratch that demonstrates exactly what your skill set is. Showcase it. Show it to the world. Impress them. Show them that you have a passion for programming. This is what people want to see in lieu of professional working experience. Someone like myself who has 10 plus years of experience, I don't need to put projects on there unless I'm particularly proud of one of my own projects, which I actually was. You'll see it on my resume. I have it listed under the, at least the one I post should have my latest work credentials, and in there you'll see things like Professo. I have essentially a little e-commerce learning management type platform that I built from scratch. I'm pretty proud of that, so I put that on my resume, even though I have like 10 plus years of actual working experience. So projects, projects, projects. Make sure they're on there. Now, this is a nitpicky thing. Some people don't have to follow this one, but I just personally think that this looks better. Don't leave any white space in your resume, especially if it's just going to be one page. If you have a resume that's a one-pager, you need to make use of as much of that one-page space as you possibly can. So when you look at my resume, again, I guess I'll put it up on coderscampus.com/resume. I guess I'm going to have to now. So you go there, you can download the resume that I have posted there. You can make note of how I've made use of all the white space. In other words, I'm not leaving any white space, okay? So if I have a line of text, it's going all the way to the end of the line. And if it wraps around to a new line, that new line is going to go all the way to the end. Okay, I'm not going to have a carriage return and then only have like half a sentence there. I'm going to make use of all the white space so that fills up that page. Okay, because like I said, if you only have one page, you got to make use of that space. Now, this is in contrast to if you really have no experience and you're really struggling with filling just one page of stuff. Okay, then maybe you can disregard my white space rule of trying not to leave any, because you don't want to submit a one-page resume that's only half a page. So I guess that's the other stipulation. One page, one full page. Okay? Don't submit half a page. That would be bad. So, also, this is important. I talked about this from one of my previous lessons in this series, but I want to re-emphasize it here. People will include their certifications. Maybe you have one of the Oracle certifications. Maybe you have certifications through some sort of a course or a boot camp that you may have taken. That's fine. Whichever one you feel gives you the most credibility, put that one on your resume. I wouldn't put more than one or maybe two. If you have two very good certifications, sure, put two certifications. But as soon as you get into the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, 10, whatever certifications on there, that actually acts as a negative. I talked about this before. If someone, a hiring manager or a recruiter or headhunter, whatever you want to call them, HR professional, sees a bunch of certifications on your resume, it just looks like you're trying to make up for the lack of something else. Okay? And they just don't like to see that. As soon as they see a list of certifications, they throw it out and go to the next one, because there's a lot of resumes that these people need to look at. So you don't want to be one that automatically gets discarded into the throwaway pile. So if you're going to include certifications, you can just keep it to one, maybe two, and make sure they're good. If it's like if it's a certification from like a single online course that you took that took you a few weeks to finish, that's not really that impressive. Anyone can go and take an online course. Doesn't really reflect that you know what you're talking about. That's where projects come into play. Instead of adding that certification or whatever the case may be, certificate of completion or whatever, do a project. Okay? Those go so much further than some random certification from potentially some random website that says that you completed their course. Okay? Boot camps, okay, those are a bit more involved. That, you put some real blood, sweat, and tears into those things. Fair enough, you could put that. If you go through an actual professional certification program like Oracle, where you have to take months to prepare for it, okay, fine. But just don't put more than one or two. All right? Cool? Cool. So, now in terms of, the actual format of the resume, there's plenty of examples out there. Like I said, you can go and check mine out, coderscampus.com/resume, but that one is more tailored to someone who has lots of real world experience. So maybe for my resume, and where you, if you want to sort of copy mine, I would take out the work experience if you don't have any and replace it with projects essentially. And then maybe if you don't have any academic skills to list, and in my academic section I list my university degree, that's where you can put your certifications. Okay, but like I said, only one or two. But overall, you can have your whole keyword stuffing type area where you have your list out your technical skills. I have that as well. Don't lie here. Don't put a programming language on there if you've only used it for a week. Okay, that's not something I do. I only put the technologies that I'm very familiar with on my resume, and for me, I make sure it fits a full line or two or three. Full lines, don't stop it halfway through if you can help it. So I try to do that with all of my keyword stuffing with respect to technical skills that I have listed on my resume. I can't imagine there's any much more I can think of in terms of resume tips. Obviously, you can check out my resume and take from it what you will. But the main points are, like I said, projects. Those will go a long way. Make sure you have your GitHub profile on there. Make sure that your passion for programming comes through in your resume in lieu of working experience. If you just don't have it, make sure they hear and feel the passion that you have as a developer, because that's what companies want to see. Okay, now moving forward on the topic of boot camps, I've talked about the boot camp that's upcoming that I have starting early November. It's going to be lasting for 6 months, and I'm accepting 15 lucky students if they so choose to join my boot camp and go through and get an education from me. Great. So this boot camp, giving a bit more details here. I believe at this point when this video comes out, I probably can start hinting at price a little bit, because a lot of people have already asked me, how much is it? How much is it? So, I'm trying to be competitive in that comparative boot camps out there that are similar to mine in that they last for months. Okay, mine's gonna be 6 months, which is actually sort of the longest boot camp that I've seen out there. Mine will last for 6 months. Comparative ones range anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000, sometimes even upwards of $20,000. This is a big ticket investment. This is a big price tag, and it comes with that in kind, right? So when you invest that kind of money, what you expect back is going to be big value, and that's exactly what I'm trying to drive forward with inside of my bootcamp. I'm going to teach you pretty much everything you need to know to be a full stack developer, at the very least be a back-end developer, and I talked about that in my previous lesson on the different types of developers and different positions that you can get as developers. At least I'm going to equip you with the skills to be a back-end developer, but hopefully we'll have time to talk a little bit about the front-end stuff, and so therefore making you a full stack developer, which is where a lot of the job opportunities are. Okay, so this bootcamp is going to teach you everything you need to know there. It's going to give you the accountability to get that done and to learn that stuff. And if you stumble, if you have problems or whatever, there's both the community as well as myself that you can reach out to for help. I'll be available as much as I possibly can inside of Slack. I'm gonna have office hours every week, so you'll be able to hop onto office hours and talk with me directly, probably via something like a Skype or a Zoom call. We will have a set curriculum where we will go through every week. We'll have a new set of lessons that I'll make available to you. You go through at your pace online to complete those lessons, and then there's going to be assignments either every week or every other week to make sure that you are actually absorbing what it is that I am teaching. Then I will be doing personal code reviews for everyone's assignments to make sure that what they are writing in terms of their code is best practice. Okay, I want to make sure that you're not picking up any bad habits, and that your assignments are 1, complete, 2, functional, and 3, the code is clean, and it, like I said, it abides by best practices as far as the industry is concerned. So this is a lot of personalized attention. This is an intensive boot camp, but it is also part-time. So it can be done in evenings and weekends. So I'm taking into account all of those people who have full-time jobs. I get it. I have one too. Evenings and weekends are kind of the only times that we have available to do this. So I'm looking for the students who are dedicated to learning and also dedicated to getting a job, because that is the guarantee that I'm going to be including inside of my bootcamp. I will be guaranteeing every single candidate is going to land a job. Another great question that I was just asked, someone said, can you elaborate on what job means? And I thought, oh, that's actually a really good question. Some people want to be freelancers, right? Some people want to be able to land clients, go out online to some websites like Upwork.com. I'm sure there's tons more. I just tend to use Upwork a lot. Upwork.com to look for potential clients who are trying to hire software developers to have them, work and build whatever products that those particular clients online are looking to have built. So some people are looking for that. So absolutely, I can show you. I don't want to say I'm an expert with Upwork, but I use Upwork both as a client and as a business. Okay, I look to get hired and I look to hire on that platform. So I know the ins and outs, I know the tips and tricks, I know what it takes to get hired as a programmer on these sites like Upwork. So if your goal is to get a job as a freelancer, then that's great. I can absolutely help you do that. And that is absolutely a lucrative career as well, doing freelance development. Okay? Or if you're looking to land a typical job, which is the typical 9-to-5, which is where you have a boss and you go into an office and work with colleagues and so on and so forth, that's absolutely what we are working towards as well. My father is actually in charge of connecting with and building relationships with some of the top 50 recruiters across the United States of America, and we are making great progress with that, and we're building some really good relationships, and those recruiters, like I said in a previous video, are chomping at the bit to get access to these 15 students who are going to go through and hopefully succeed, obviously, at the back of this boot camp that I'm launching again early November. So all that to be said, the price point is going to be high, but it's going to be competitive. Okay, so I haven't absolutely landed on where it is in the price range. I believe I'm going to be going on the lower end of that price range because this is one of the first times that I'm doing this. So I want to make sure that I iron out all the bugs, and in exchange for that, I will make sure that the price is at the lower end of that range, somewhere between 8,000 to 15,000. It's going to take 6 months, like I said, longer than pretty much any other boot camps that I've seen out there, and there's going to be a lot of support that you get from me personally, as well as obviously I'm going to try to build in this wonderful community into these 15 people that are going to be your compadres, your co-workers, if you will, almost your colleagues in your journey of not only learning how to code, but ultimately getting a job as a programmer or maybe being a freelance developer. Okay? So Trevor from the future now coming back to talk to you a little bit more about this boot camp. That audio/video that you may or may not have just been watching was recorded a few weeks back before I had final details, and I now have the final details of the boot camp, and I'm excited to say that you can actually apply to this boot camp now. So if you want to do that, if that sounds interesting to you, you can go to bootcamp.coderscampus.com and apply there. Again, bootcamp.coderscampus.com, and you can actually apply to this bootcamp. Again, I'm only accepting 15 students, so I'm hoping that your application will be very detailed. You'll take, at least 15 minutes or so to sit down and thoughtfully answer all the questions to the best of your ability. So yeah, I'm expecting there's probably going to be a lot of people applying, but I'm only going to be accepting the top 15, and for good reason. I want to make sure that I am absolutely focused on you and absolutely focused on getting you to achieve the goal that you set out to achieve, whether that's, like I said, getting a job or a freelance client. I'm here on your side to help you out along the way. So yeah, check it out, bootcamp.coderscampus.com, apply there, and I look forward to seeing your application soon. As always, take care of yourself. Happy learning. Bye for now.